Good afternoon, everyone. Hope you guys are having a good start to your Monday. I know many of us, like our house, online school started today, so Ochsner Academy is up and running. One student has finished their work, one student just woke up. So, welcome to homeschooling, the Ochsner way, I guess. Anyway, hope your classroom or your work or whatever you're doing is going well today. Just wanted to touch base a little bit. Today I'm talking about community. And so there's a book that I have liked for a long time, and of all the books I've ever read besides the Bible is called Front Porch Tales, and it's a very short book, as you can see. It was written in 1996, and for whatever reason, I've never done this in any of my books, but this book, oh hi Wendy, this book, I wrote that I bought it in December of 99 and I paid $3.25, so I'm not really sure why I put that in this particular book. I've never done that in any of my other books, but here we are. Anyway, this is a book that a man wrote about what he learned growing up, living in a small town, and what he learned from his neighbors. And for whatever reason, it's just a book that I pick up quite often, actually, because the chapters are super short and they always have a good lesson in them. And so I picked it up because that's what I do when I have extra time, and was reading one of the stories, and I thought it's so timely for us right now, as a lot of us are home. A lot of us are teaching from home, working from home, or just restricting our day-to-day activities as much as we can if we do have to get out and work. And helps kind of bring back, what really is important in our lives. And so I wanted to read you one of the chapters, and then I'll talk a little bit about it when I'm done. But it's called Front Porch Tales, and it was written by Philip Gulley. So I feel a little bit like Mr. Rogers reading you a story, but here we go. Okay, this one's called The Front Porch Classroom. When I was in the 4th grade, I was offered a job as a paper boy. It didn't pay much money, but I knew having a job would build my character, so I took it. Good character being important to 4th graders. My lessons started the first day on the job. A customer paying his bill asked me if I wanted to tip, and I said, sure. He said, stay away from wild women. One of my customers was a lady named Mrs. Stanley. She was a widow and not prone to wild living, so I took to lingering on her front porch with my rounds. She'd watch for me to come down her street, and by the time I'd pedaled up to her house, there would be a slushy bottle of Coke waiting for me. That's my kind of person. I'd sit and drink while she talked. That was our understanding. I drank, she talked. The widow Stanley talked mostly about her dead husband, Roger. She would say, Roger and I went to the grocery shopping this morning and over to the IGA. The first time she said that, the Coke went up my nose. This was back in the days when Coke going up your nose wasn't a crime, just a mite uncomfortable. Went home and told my father about Mrs. Stanley and how she talked as if Mr. Stanley were still alive. Dad said she was probably lonely, and that maybe I just ought to sit and listen and nod my head and smile, and maybe she'd work it out of her system. So that's what I did. I figured this was where the character building came into play. Turned out Dad was right. After a few summers, she seemed content to leave her husband over at the South Cemetery. Nowadays, we'd send Miss Stanley to a psychiatrist, but all she had back then was a front porch rocker and her paper boy's ear, which turned out to be enough. I quit my paper route after her healing, moved on to the lucrative business of lawn mowing, didn't see the widow Stanley for several years. Then we crossed paths up at the Christian Church's annual fundraiser dinner. She was standing behind the steam table, spooning out mashed potatoes and looking radiant. 4 years before, she had to be bribed by her paperboy with a Coke to have someone to talk with. Now she had friends brimming over. Her husband was gone, but life went on. She had her community and was luminous with love. Community is a beautiful thing. Sometimes it even heals us and makes us better than we would be otherwise. I live in a city now. My front porch is a concrete slab, and my paperboy is a lady named Edna with 3 kids and a 12-year-old Honda. Every day she asks me how I'm doing. When I don't say fine, she sticks around long enough to... She's such a nice lady that sometimes I act as if I have a problem just so she'll tarry. She's lived in the city all her life, but she knows about community too. Community isn't so much a locale as it is a state of mind. You find it whenever folks ask how you're doing because they care, not because they're getting paid to inquire. 2,000 years ago, a church elder named Peter wrote the recipe for community. Above all else, he wrote, hold unfailing your love for one another, since love covers a multitude of sins. 1 Peter 4:8. That means when you love a person, you occasionally have to turn a blind eye to their shortcomings. Kind of like what my dad told me about the widow Stanley. Sometimes it's better to nod your head and smile. Psychiatrists call that enabling denial, but back when I delivered papers, we called it compassion. So that's one of my favorite stories in this book, and it reminds me of just how important it is to show up for your community, for your family and your friends, especially right now when things are a little uncertain. And so one of the things that I really love that our neighborhood is doing tonight is we've been encouraged to grill out on the front of our house and our driveways so that we're all out and we can see each other, we can talk, but remain a safe distance. And I know there are other neighborhoods doing very creative things, in other communities doing creative things to keep people connected but also safe. One of the things that I saw one of you post about was your neighborhood had you could hide a teddy bear somewhere in your house, and it was like a scavenger hunt in your neighborhood, which I thought was really fun. But there are a lot of ways that we can stay connected to people. One of those is simply picking up the phone and just calling and asking if everything is okay. And I'm working on doing that. I've called a few of you, but I am an introvert and the phone is not necessarily my friend. But when I get on the phone, for whatever reason, I just talk forever. So my calls are taking a little longer. But I do care about all you guys, and I hope that you're doing well and staying safe. And if there's anything that I can help you with, I'm more than happy to help. But I'd love to hear what your community, what your neighborhood, or what you're doing to stay connected to others and to focus on what's important, which is all of us as the people. So anyway, I hope you guys have a great afternoon. Hope you liked my story hour. It was kind of fun. So y'all have a great afternoon and hope to hear from you soon. Thanks. Bye.